Time now for the news review segment, where we get to have a conversation on some of the topics that are dominating the media space and bring you various perspectives to it. This morning, I have joining me the, I like to say some things that will land me in trouble, but you let me manage it. Where I was going, trouble would have come. So let me skip and go and introduce the Honorable Dixon Adumako Kisi, former Member of Parliament for Anyasoto. Honorable, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you. Good to have you.
Same.
And then my very good friend Larry Dogbe, the editor of the Herald newspaper, is here.
So the initial reference was to me.
So Larry, good morning.
No.
But I've always wanted to ask, are you related to the Dogbe we know?
There are several Dogbes. Let's carry on.
But you know, when government changes, there's one Dogbe.
Let's carry on.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Good to have you. This morning we have a number of issues to look at. I pray we're able to make judicious use of our time and discuss, if not all, most of them. We start with waste management and government's contract, the YEA contract, which is Zoomlion. Government in one breath says it will not renew that contract. It issued a letter to investigative journalist Manasseh Azuri Awune somewhere last week. There's a story will be carried on ChannelOneNews.com. Story says government of Ghana has officially announced that the contract between the Youth Employment Agency YEA and Zoomlion Ghana Limited has expired and will not be renewed. In a letter dated June 11, 2025, issued by the Secretary to the President Callistus Mahama, the presidency acknowledged concerns raised in a petition advocating for the the contract's discontinuation. The government confirmed its decision not to extend the agreement, citing the need for a competitive procurement process in future sanitation contracts. Zoomlion, in response, says the YEA contract expired and wasn't cancelled. So the story also on citynewsroom.com. Zoomlion Limited has clarified that its contract with the Youth Employment Agency YEA reached its natural end in September 2024 and was not cancelled or terminated by the government, as some media reports have suggested. Let me start with you, Larry. This street sweeping program expired, I think it was somewhere in March, and then they went for a 6-month extension.
That's what their statement said.
Yes, that will end in September. And so there's no contract. So there's no cancellation. If there's no contract, there's nothing to cancel. But what we did not see in the presidency's statement also is a ban on Zoomlion. So,
were you expecting it to be banned?
Not because the petition made it look as though, or the euphoria or the ruckus that followed up with the president's letter sounded as though Zoomlion had been banned from, if you like, bidding for government contracts. But what was your own understanding of the president's letter and then the statement from Zoomlion?
Thank you, and good morning to our viewers. I think that I don't know where to place the confusion, because from the president's statement, it was that the contract will not be renewed.
Right.
Okay. So that is whatever it was. The presidency said that the contract will not be renewed.
Yeah.
Okay. But Zoomlion's statement is saying that, oh, you know something, the contract expired long ago. But then it was, given a 6 months extension. And as far as they are aware, that is what the situation remains. Now, they also thought that, they are okay with the accountability matter. Yeah. And that, they are ready to subject themselves to auditing. Yeah. Good. I think that is, very strong. Again, they also said that they were ready for to take part in every competitive bidding process, and that they believe they have the capacity, to withstand any other, a competition of that nature. So essentially, that is what I got from the statement they issued. Yeah. So the presidency said it wouldn't be renewed. They are saying that, hey, the thing actually expired long ago and that we only had... But again, in that same statement, they said that they have always taken part in competitive bidding and that the one that we were talking about was gotten out of competitive bidding, except that they didn't mention which companies that they competed with. Okay. The Zoomlion...
Is it for them to mention,
Oh yeah, I mean, you played football with Kumasi Asante Kotoko and you won.
No, but if I tender in a bid, I don't know who else has tendered in a bid to the government.
No, but you would have taken. People know why I mean, journalists as we are, we have always known. At least it gives even more credibility to your claim that you took part, in this way. Yeah, exactly. And so, and you won based on this and that and that and that, value for money analysis. Do you get it? And so I mean, I would have expected that they mention who they competed with. However, the thing is this: in that statement, they mentioned that they have been in this deal or this transaction with government for well over 19 years. 19 years. That is huge. I've got, or the Herald got this information that every 2 years, this contract is renewed. It's renewed. And that the last 2 years, it was renewed, the amount that was charged was 928 million Ghana cedis. Okay, so every 2 years.
A period of 2 years.
Yes, for a period of 2 years. And so I'm sure over the years it's been increasing for the 19 years that they have been in this space. The current one they submitted and wanted it approved, they were going to take almost 1.3 billion Ghana cedis. 1.3 billion Ghana cedis, okay, for the same thing. Now, but in this process, with all this, there has been agitation from workers that they were not being paid well, and they were not even being paid on time. That is from the workers' angle. Then, I mean, from the public, we have all been witnesses to the fact that even though this transaction is happening, our environment still remains filthy.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll be, riding a city of Accra that President Akufo-Addo declared as,
the cleanest city.
The cleanest city, Akufo-Addo slogans. the cleanest city in Africa. And you just, find a heap of,
refuse.
Refuse in the middle of Accra. The streets dirty, poly bags all over the place. Meanwhile, this money is going. You and I are paying for it. I mean, we have all been witnesses to cholera outbreaks and how, it killed a lot of people. You understand?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not to say that once Zoomlion is involved, all of us should check our responsibilities. However, this is a critical, point. You go to the city of Accra, the Central Business District, and you appreciate the fields that we are talking about.
Yeah.
You get it. So, long story short, people have had concerns and even called for a review.
Yeah.
So if this is going to be reviewed, as President Mahama has, indicated, I am all well, for it. Because then at the end of the day, we're going to get value for money because others are also going to be introduced in there to take part in this.
Yeah.
I noticed that Zoomlion constructed the Moodle arrangement, which is supposed to take solid waste, around that area.
Yeah.
What has become of that? And then there's supposed to also be some waste plant, around the Ajen Kotoku area.
Yeah.
Again, what's become
That's
of
the ACAP.
Yeah, exactly. So
Accra Compost and Recycling Plant.
okay, so a lot of those things have been done, and with state support, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
State support, the state has been involved in some of those projects and so on. King, but Accra or the country is not as neat as we had expected. So if the president has talked about introducing competition in the area, and that reducing the whole thing even to the district, municipal, and then metropolitan levels, for me.
So now it's decentralized.
Yeah, exactly. I am well for it.
Very well.
Now there was also another aspect of this where the confusion between the company and then YEA, where the YEA people were like, hey, you know something, your workers are complaining. We have engaged you to provide this service. You are a service provider for us. We pay you this amount of money, but then what you pay your workers, who are, let's say, directly our agents, sort of, you know, they are not. I mean, it's not. It doesn't sit well with us. So Kofi Ban, Japan, complained. And so Kofi was the one supposed to sign the contract then, but I think he stayed away from it because he was expecting certain things to be done that weren't done. Then Basintale comes in, and he even took to his to Facebook, and I mean wrote that over his he had gone to his father's graveside and sworn heaven and earth that listen, he is never going to sign this thing unless he sees commitment from Zoomlion. Okay.
Says he won't renew its current.
Yeah, exactly. So even the state had an issue. Okay. The public, had an issue with it. The state had an issue with it, and many others have had concerns with this matter. There's another leg of this, which is that sometimes the monies that are paid, that the money is supposed to come from YEA to Zoomlion. But it ends up that most of the money, what is paid doesn't come from YEA. It rather comes from the local government.
Straight.
Yes, the district assembly's common fund. You get it. So then YEA is like, how come I have a contract with this, company? However, when it matters most, it is rather district assembly common fund that is paying. So a lot of there's so much, opacity around this transaction. And I think that it is good that we've come this far. I mean, there's something else to say about how the President Mills in opposition talked about going to have some of these transactions, very audited. But, I mean, when he came to office, what happened? What didn't happen? I mean, he's gone.
Very well.
So we can talk about it later.
Well, they say they are open for audits and, of course, the transparency and accountability. Honorable, your take on this YEA Zoomlion contract and the position of government vis-a-vis that of the company?
Well, before I even go there, let me seek your relief and point out something that happened yesterday. I think there was a stakeholder briefing in Nkoko with regards to the stadium in Nkoko. I think Honorable Brian Champon has committed to enhancing and making sure that the players can play there in about at least 6 months from now. Barriers minimum, there'll be about 6,000 seats provided when it's all done. And I think that is commendable in the sense that the stadium has been there for quite a while. And local leaguers, there's something about playing local or training local. So I'm very excited about that.
Football?
Yes, football. Yeah. Now, one key thing, I have this man who always calls me when he sees me on your program. and I don't know how to tell him to stop. Kokodeka. Yes, I know you're watching me. After the show,
he needs to register that.
I'm like, Kokoro.
Is he Igbe?
Yes.
Why do you call him Kokoro?
I'm on the program, so but he only calls me when I start talking.
He likes you.
Anyway, so greetings to him and all our cherished viewers. Zoomlion, both troubling. But let me admit that their contracts have been having this default clause where if government does not necessarily change the next person, they just keep going. So it's always been interesting that their contracts naturally don't expire. When the time comes, they have this default clause that if government doesn't stop them, they continue, and that is why you think that government is a bit maybe silent on what happens after. But I think that some of the concerns that were raised are very legit. We're talking about the wages of the cleaners.
Yeah.
Considering the quantum of monies that government pays. And we're also talking about some of their activities that they render for government. Largely, one troublesome one, unfortunately, is fumigation, where it's difficult to ascertain fumigation when it has happened or when it hasn't happened. It's very difficult. And let me also add that there's been many issues. You know, I was privy to this because of my work with the Public Accounts Committee.
Right.
We'll go around the country, and troubling was the fact that, as you rightly said, the assembly leaders will be there. Though they have minimal supervisory role, they are unable to determine when Zoomlion gets paid or when it doesn't get paid. They'll be sitting in Savulugu only to hear that the Common Fund Administrator has issued cash or monies to Zoomlion. And
when they have concerns of the
you
service
know,
delivery.
when they can't even ascertain whether the fumigation or the disposal has been actually done. So these were some of the, you know, trending matters with regards to Zoomlion and government. And I think that, I'm not going to say I'm happy, but I think that from an administrative standpoint,
Yeah.
it is very important that the person that pays has very good supervisory role to be sure that the work has been done. So if the MC or DC has a huge say in when the contractor gets paid and determines that the work truly has been done, it helps. But we unfortunately had a centralist approach, which then led to sometimes monies being paid even far in advance of the work being done. And when you've prepaid, as ECG gets, sometimes the delivery of service is impaired.
Yeah.
But high on the issues, I must admit, is the wages of those who do cleaning. And the fact that elderly women and men who wake up in the early hours of the day to clean our streets and pretend to be working and pretend to be paid, you know, has arisen this. Now, I always believe in competition.
Right.
And I think that I always cite the fact that, forgive me, I do commercial banking. I'm with Ghana Commercial Bank, okay? Until the other banks sprang up, trust me, Ghana Commercial Bank had almost, I don't know, the oldest women handling banking. When the others sprang up, suddenly they had need to change their tellers. And the attitude of the tellers also had to change because we had alternative.
Right.
So I firmly believe that this will create some level of competition for Zoomlion. Supposing they get one zone, be it northern, southern, western, or eastern, they'll cherish the contract better, they'll deliver better, and certainly once there's an alternative to Zoomlion, it makes their behavior different. Monopoly is not good from Economics 101. When you have monopoly and they determine the market rate and everything, you know, it leads to consumers losing out. Or in this case, government has lost out largely because it was a monopolized industry where most of government, you know, cleanup exercises were conducted by Zoomlion. Now, the other thing too is that, quite frankly, I believe that this shakeup, we must admit, is long overdue. And in fact, Basintali didn't have it easy. I mean, I think he made a move, then he went mute. and I'm curious about why he went mute a little bit, because I think the power brokers are heavy. And I say that not necessarily just within the NDC. I'm talking nationalistic here.
Kofi didn't have it easy either.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm saying that it's not necessarily one party. This is entirely both NDC and NPP, because this company has worked with many governments since President Kufuor's,
I think the company
creation.
itself was
Let me put it
started
that
in
way.
2006.
19 years.
Yeah. So I think that the late owner, Jaspon's father, started this under, before Kufuor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But for competition's sake, and the benefits of competition, and the benefits of increasing wages of the cleaners, I think that it is in order. And, I'm hoping that out of this will come maybe another corporate entity, which will complement cleaning services in the country. And I think that really, if I had my way with local government, we'll zone the country into 4. And either Zoomlion gets 2 of the zones, and then the new company gets the other 2, or you get one heavy zone, which is like, if you get southern, then you get either western or eastern. And then when you get northern, you get either of the, And when I say northern, I mean Ashanti region and up. So that you get a heavy, load one way or the other, and then a smaller load. But be it as it may, I think that overall, Ghana stands to gain, with this breakage of the monopoly of our cleaning services or waste management. And I'm hopeful that whether for good or bad, the staff members or the cleaning workers will be upgraded. I don't want a situation where through all this hula baloo, then we are back at the same pay grade. It's a very painful job to be doing. To wake up as early as 3 a.m. To be sweeping our roads and things like that. And with that said, I also would encourage that we, change our equipment. I mean, I've seen heavy equipment sweeping roads in other parts of the world. And I also need to also make that case. In many jurisdictions, if your car is parked whilst they are cleaning, you get ticketed. And that should be looked at. Government can make some very good revenue from people who park where they're supposed to be cleaning. I mean, when I was in New York, I would have to wake up so early to make sure that I move my vehicle. As by 4 a.m., if your vehicle is not moved, you'll be ticketed because the machine has to come and sweep. So these are government revenue opportunities. We need to infuse more equipment, and maybe now that there's going to be an alternative, the alternative will ensure that people get very good equipment. And please, our highways, we need to use equipment. We can't use manpower to do our highways. From N1 to like Tema, then you have manpower sweeping. I mean, it's even a health hazard. Traffic accidents can happen. So that should also be looked at. I mean, if you look on your screen, some of these places that human beings are working, and the hours at which they work, ought to be looked at. So
Very well.
I'm for the workers, and though late, I'm happy that this monopoly somehow has come to an end.
Very well.
Yeah.
Very well. Let's say good morning to the Honourable Member of Parliament for Sisala West, the Honourable Mohammed Adam Sukbaru. I don't know what's happening today, whether there was some communication between the two of you. Regarding this.
He got the memo.
He got the memo. He got the memo.
I got the memo.
Yeah, he got the memo. Yesterday we saw you.
I got the memo.
We saw you during the vetting of Justice Jamefe.
Yes. I from here, I'll be going to join the committee again.
Are you a member of the committee or a friend?
Not a friend. Per our new standing order, I am the deputy ranking on judiciary committee, and so the new standing order requires that anytime they are vetting any nominee, the subject matter. So in this case, the justices has to do with the judiciary. So it is important that the committee members, the leadership of the committee represent the committee there. And so it is not only we, the judiciary. You saw that constitutional and legal chairman was also there. So I am there as a subject matter.
Very well.
Are you a lawyer?
I am not.
Oh, okay.
Very well. Zoomlion YEA contract. Government says they won't renew. Zoomlion says it expired in September. But we're looking at the merits of saying the position of government to decentralize the contract, and also, if you like, upgrade the payment of the street sweepers themselves to at least a livable income.
Yeah, so first of all, let me use your platform to say a very good morning to my co-panels and your good self, and also the good people of my constituency, Sisala West. In fact, reading the response that the president gave to Manasseh, I was very, very excited. This is something I've been looking forward to, because we're in a country that our sanitation is in the hands of only one company, and you can imagine the population of this country. And as President Riley said, the contract is centralized. It's always signed at the top there. So, for instance, my constituency, before the payments are even made, you aren't able to ascertain whether the job is done at Sisala, where the job is really done at Pusiga, the job is really done at Boku, or the job is done properly at Lembusie. What you do is somebody presents the same voices, and then you make payment. I think it is wrong. First of all, it is not only the sweepers that we are robbing, but also the state. Don't forget that we have always been against, and we are fighting against sole sourcing contract. And if you look at this particular contract, I don't know much about, but I think that it is not a contract that was competitively bidded. It is something
the response suggests the same. The response from Zoomlion says.
Well, when have you ever seen that government, any time Zoomlion's contract expires, when have you ever seen government comes out to say that we are advertising for prospective, companies to come and bid? All what we hear is that his contract has been renewed. It has always been renewing. So for me, if anybody suggests to me that they always go through competitive
automatic
bidding,
renewal.
well, it has always been like that. I wouldn't take it. And also,
Autopilot.
this is a time for us to give other company. For all you know, there's a very competent company somewhere in Ghana that can even do the job better than what we are currently getting.
Yeah.
And also give better quotations in terms of value for money.
Right.
And also even in terms of quality of job. Maybe there are other competent companies. So we shouldn't just assume. I've heard other people say that we should look at the capacity. Zoomlion didn't just start with the capacity it has today. It started somewhere.
Yeah.
And for government to say that they are going to decentralize it, that is even, makes it more beautiful. In the sense that if you are in your district, the district chief executive who is in charge of the district can determine who becomes the sanitation company over there, who handles their sanitation. There are components of the contract, if you look at it. The sweeping aspect is there. The collecting of, how do you call it? The waste aspect is there. So when it comes to the fumigation is also there. And also, I think,
disposal.
the disposal. So that nobody can take the capacity when it comes to the, how do you call it?
Collection.
The collection and where the
landfills.
The landfills.
Right.
When it comes to that, Zoomlion has the capacity because most of the landfills, I think it's only, if you go to Ashanti region, he has one there. If you go to even Greater Accra here, he has, I think, 2 or so in Greater Accra here. So, I mean, it can be looked at. Other people can participate in terms of the sweeping. Other people can participate in terms of collecting. He can also handle other aspects. And I agree with my colleague when he says that he would wish that the country is zoned. Yes, they should not even also limit it to only the districts or the regions to handle. I mean, government can look at it from, I mean, zoning the country so that it can be in advertising for people to bid. The country can be zoned and open it up for people to bid. The sweeping aspect, even the collection of the waste aspect, people can bid.
Right.
So they should look at all of these things. Who is coming with more, quality offer in terms of benefit to the sweepers? Because there are 2 ways. First of all, the people who does the sweeping, you are looking at paying them according to the job that they are doing. The people who are doing the collection, you are looking at paying them according to the job that they are doing, so that by the end of the day, Ghana will get value for money and also get the job properly done. That is what we are looking for. Nobody is against Zoomlion. For instance, I am not against. He's a Ghanaian, and he's built this company to this level. We must support him. But in supporting him, we must make sure that we do the right thing. It shouldn't just be because I've heard other people say, oh, it's a Ghanaian, why are we doing? He is not the only Ghanaian. There are other competent sanitation companies in this
Owned
country.
by Ghanaians.
Owned by Ghanaians who are willing and also capable when the bid is open up for them to bid. And so for me, it should be open up. If it opens up to everybody, and by the end of the day, it still turns out that the only person that has the capacity, the only person whose offer is good is Zoomlion. Why not? It should be given to him, but at least we'll know that it is competitively bidded for, and he's chosen based on ABCD. And with that, nobody can say that the sweepers are being cheated. Nobody can say that now the job that he's doing will all monitor him properly. I think Manasseh has also, he needs our commendation. He did a very consistent job. This is a good journalism. He started this fight not today. Several years ago, he started.
From the Jida days.
He started advocating. I think that he needs to be commended because he didn't just hit it and run away. He faced even court suits, threat of whatever, but he stood on his grounds and ensured that we got to where we are today. And I think we must applaud him for his good journalism also. And I mean, for President Mahama's response, I wasn't surprised because if you look at how he handles things, especially with JIDA, even his own government, he says that he is going to even conduct audit into the payment that have been made to Zoomlion. And I trust him because his own government during the JIDA days, we saw what happened. He ended up by prosecuting his own appointee.
The likes of Abu Ghapi.
Exactly. So this is the fight against corruption we want to see in this country. And I believe that he would do a great job when it comes to that because, I mean, we started it when the budget was read. You know, the sanitation levy we pay, it used to be in, he served in the Public Accounts Committee. It was not, that money wasn't coming to consolidated account, was it? But the current finance minister said no, every money must be paid into the consolidated account. It is not that, it is not a levy for Zoomlion. It is not, yes, of course, it's a sanitation levy. But that doesn't mean that because you have a contract with Ghana and Ghana owes you certain amount of money, if there's a certain levy that it is sanitation levy, that levy, it is not your levy. It is tax that just like any other tax that we are collecting in this country. And therefore, all taxes must be collected, and all of them must be paid into a single account. Whatever job you've done, like any other contractor, when your certificate or your invoices are presented, finance minister or whichever ministry will validate those things. If it is right for them to make payment, they will do so. I think His Excellency, the President started it. That was the first thing he did. And I saw that, yes, this is somebody who is ready to fight corruption. And so I am happy we are at where we are. I believe that we get value for money. I believe other sanitation companies will be given opportunity to participate. And by the end of the day, the sweepers, I believe, because it's going to be competitive bidding, good offers will be made. So I'm all out for it.
Very well. Thank you.
Make some?
Would you be surprised if at the end of the day, although we are decentralized, also come stops with most of the local contracts?
They could, because they've been in the space for all this while. You get it. So, but like Honorable Kisi said, there should be a deliberate effort to empower others.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is the only way out that you can derive value for money.
For money.
Again, it is also even good for the image of that company. You get it? That, hey, you went into a competition with company Q and you were able to do this.
Right.
You get
Right.
it?
Right.
But then the suggestion that, oh, hey, the company has been getting free money. Okay? It's been getting free money. Would that mischief could be cured?
Yeah.
You know, there should be a deliberate effort on the part of the company to cure that mischief.
Yeah.
And I was going to say this. See, Sukwaro mentioned that President mentioned Manasseh and then President Mahama. I think that it's a good call. It's a good call.
Yeah.
But for me, more importantly, President Mahama, for being bold enough to do this. Because like I was telling you, by 2008 or 2007 or the 2008 campaign in particular, people had issues with Zoomlion. And I recall, the NDC then, led by President Mills, vowed that they were going to have this contract, reviewed.
Yeah.
But by the time President Mills noticed, some of his officials were involved in dealings with the company.
Yeah.
Okay? And so many other things, happened thereafter. Now, if President Mahama, has promised a reset, and he's taken this bold initiative, the review, the auditing that he's promised, I want to believe that at the end of the day, it will be done by a very, very, very competent institution, and that Zoomlion has also promised to make itself available.
Yeah.
And all the state actors who have also been involved in this will also, put their documents on the table. And then the institution that is going to investigate this very well. And at the end of the day, put the report out there for all of us to see. Okay?
It's important.
It's very important.
Yeah.
It is very important. I'm
well.
saying this because then, silently you are hearing people are commending President Mahama, but it's only down there. You don't have people up there, praising him the way he's supposed to be praised. That an almost 20-year-old contract has been terminated, and he's saying that accountability, review, competitive bidding, and so on. We need to commend him for that. Now, state officials. Anyway, monopoly broking. Zoomlion is not only sweeping, it's involved in dredge masters. On the Kole.
Yeah, the Odo.
Odo, sorry.
The Odo.
And has a dredger on that.
World Bank financed.
Okay, World Bank finance. Okay, how much goes into it?
I'll tell you after.
Why would you tell me after?
Say it now.
I'm sure I'll have the detail after here.
Okay, so, and that dredging doesn't finish. That water.
But dredging is an ongoing process. And our people, when it rains, it pours. When it rains, they pour things into the
But we should be seeing the benefits of, that.
But do you know how much load our own people pour into the
How many
drains?
years now? Is that also automatic renewal?
No, our people don't change.
No, I'm
So-
asking what.
There should be a change of mindset and
But the dredge masters, admittedly, I think it was really made big about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And you know, there's a plant close to Tema,
Okay.
where around Ashaiman,
Yeah.
there's a dredging thing there. I remember that's where they even, maybe you may have gone for the program. They launched dredge masters, you know, and I really think that even from a judicial standpoint, dredge master can be a company on its own,
Yeah.
not necessarily even under Zoomlion.
subsidiary. of
Yeah.
it.
It can be a subsidiary, and I think it will make governmental dealings with them more direct.
Now you wrap up for me.
The COVID, you know, you recall
The
the
fumigation.
fumigation. There was an instance where the fumigation was done before the students. So it was like, even before the virus was detected, we started spraying schools and so on.
Precautionary measures.
Then, how much went into that?
And admittedly, fumigation does not kill viruses.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, those are some of the unfortunate
Then
happenings.
there was a towing. There was a legislation that was for
Towing.
towing of
Yeah.
tracks. You
Tracks
recall?
on
Road safety management.
Yeah, road
system.
safety. Exactly. That became an issue where
Did
Parliament.
that see the light of day?
No, I mean because Ghanaians were like, no, this thing we wouldn't go anywhere.
That was
Meanwhile, our
2008.
Parliament.
2008,
Were you part
I
of that
think.
Parliament?
No, that was 2008.
No, it wasn't
No,
2000.
it was
It
way
was
after
2000.
There was an attempt in
2008?
think 17.
in the 7th Parliament.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't 17.
Were you part of it?
No,
No.
I wasn't.
And nobody's part of it.
Right.
It
Right.
wasn't
But then
75.
Like,
there's,
wrap
there's
up for me.
drip. Drip.
It wasn't
Yeah.
75.
Yeah, drip is also. Yeah, drip. I mean, Zoomlion is
Yeah.
part of drip. And I mean, as we speak, there's an investigation going on by the NIB as to how much the
procurement.
exactly
Yeah,
the
cost.
equipment, you know, the cost of it. Because then the claim is that, I mean, the amount, you
The
know,
true cost of the equipment
yeah.
is much less than what.
Yes, what
estimated.
exactly? But then
Sometimes it happens.
yeah, but then the argument is that, oh, I mean, you came to me that, or I came to you that I'm selling my water for this amount.
Yeah.
It's up to you to decide
To
whether you want
negotiate
to
for a
buy
better
it
price
or you
or
want to
otherwise.
go out there to, you know. But the fact that there's concerns over it, I mean, it's something. I mean,
It's
it's
worth
like
looking
an octopus company, you know. You are here, you are there, you are there, you are there, and you recall A Plus
Yeah.
made some comment
It was-
recently.
It was introduced in 2012.
A Plus talked about how he raised some concerns about the company, and quickly the company owners found him and then gave him money. That is bribery. I think it was an interview you guys conducted. You did that interview.
Yeah.
You?
So
The upside down
he implicated himself.
Yeah, he implicated himself and implicated the company.
He said the company gave him money.
Vero.
What did he say?
Vero.
What did he say?
Oh, but it's out there. It's public knowledge.
No, what did
It's
he
out there.
Yeah,
Let me
but-
hear from one on one. Let's
Yeah,
wrap
but
up
then
on
the
this and
company
then
should
we'll
have
move
issued
on.
a statement to
We'll
deny
move
that
on.
claim.
So,
Do you get
so,
it?
so
For
I
credibility sake.
think
Right.
that
Yeah.
you know, looking at how even Microsoft suffers in Europe
Yeah.
with regards to monopoly, and even in some states in America, monopoly is a serious thing.
Yeah.
And I think that this breakage of this conglomerate with regards to cleaning will help one bring about competition, to improve the wages of those who work for waste management in this country, and then it would also breathe in fresh air and allow for other companies to grow,
Transparency.
and certainly make it more transparent, if not so transparent. And government stands to gain, the people of the country, your taxes are going to be better used, and you know, there'll be more accountability with a change. And I really think that ultimately, adding on additional waste management brings about a change in attitude of the company, so that they don't just give us anything they want to give us,
Right.
but then they know that, you know, like, as I said, Ghana Commercial Bank changed behavior.
Yeah, so the
when
competition is good.
You know, so I'm very American when it comes to competition,
Very well.
and I think it helps improve services. Yeah.
Very well. Honorable, final
Superior.
take on this Zoomlion YEA contract.
Yes, like I stated, for me, this is the best decision, and President Mahama, like my brother Larry said, has taken a bold decision, and for him to say that yes, he's not going to renew the contract is the best decision ever. Very bold one for that matter. For us to open it up to many people, including your good self. Who knows? Maybe your sanitation company probably will do a good job than what we currently witness.
How many ampon?
As for him,
That's a good one.
Then not for he should be doing a music company.
You should be doing a music company and not
You know, he's a very
sanitation.
good MC.
Well, that one, yeah.
You need to see him in action.
Most hosts.
In fact,
and
he can
hostesses,
he
yeah.
can use his MC, background to design a sanitation policy,
Yeah.
especially
Perhaps,
for those sweeping.
But,
He
but,
will train
but
MCs.
will Parliament give him the thing like
Maybe
you guys have been giving Zoomlion?
Maybe a specialized
Parliament,
sanitation
we
model
don't
for
give
events.
anything to Zoomlion. Parliament, we don't sign contracts. We don't sign contracts. Parliament,
It's the executive.
It's the executive. We don't sign contracts.
And brings it to Parliament.
No.
For
If it is
approval.
an international one, fine. But in the case of Zoomlion, Parliament has nothing to do.
Zuma has always been in Parliament for all these years.
Seen the
You've
various
seen him in
committees
Parliament.
going on top.
I haven't.
At the point in time,
The-
what's the name?
one of the-
Osei Mensah took issues with him.
One of the deals that comes to Parliament with regards to waste management will be the tax waivers for equipment,
Exactly.
like the
Maybe.
drip equipment tax waivers, or dredge masters, the equipment. So that is the tax waivers that you get through Parliament, more of a tax incentive. But with regards to the contractual arrangement,
About the towing truck stuff.
that would have been passed as an ally, but for,
That just- but
for
Manasseh has come out to say that MMDCs and local government officials are meeting at Madina today. Zoomlion hosted the leaders yesterday. And it is true, my DC arrived yesterday. He says they have a training. I think it's a training there.
This was
But
arranged
when I was making my submission, I
before.
forgot to even ask. Can you imagine even the sweepers in my own district? Even yesterday when I asked my DC, so how many sweepers do we have? It doesn't have, there's no report, there's nothing in the,
He was
in
on
the
the
district
pain of-
assembly.
Yeah.
He was on the
You'll be
page.
shocked that a
We are
communique.
told that there are 4 to 5,000 sweepers in Ghana. You remember when the AMA wrote to YEA requesting to know the number of
Sweepers
sweepers
in Accra.
in Accra? YEA could not respond to them because they said they don't have any report. There's nothing,
But
there's no
I get the
document.
numbers that they provide. When they are called by YEA, somebody else will pick the thing and say, the phone is for my grandmother.
Oh,
And I'm
the
not.
official line.
Yeah, the line that the person has provided, that is his number that he could be reached on.
Okay, you mean the sweeper?
The
sweeper.
sweeper.
The numbers
It's more
are-
like, why haven't you swept here? Okay, they want to check. When they call the number, a young person will pick and say,
So the phone is for my
the
grandfather.
phone is for my grandmother. Me, I'm in some, across the river. some-
Navurugu, and then the person is like,
So you see some of the challenges. So I think AMA were still using the internal generated fund to employ people to sweep.
Additional.
Additional. And so we got to the time they said, no, there are sweepers who are supposed to be sweeping. Let's reach out to YEA to know the whereabouts of the sweepers. So
this is a super ghost name.
I'm telling you, they couldn't provide them any name.
Very well.
And so I said, just yesterday,
like-
not any other district, my district. I asked the DC, I said, DC, how many Zoomlion sweepers do we have in Sisala West? He said, Honorable, there's nothing, ever since he took over office, he hasn't seen any document like that. He doesn't know the number of sweepers in Sisala West. So you can imagine.
But how's the sanitation liking?
Well, as you expect that a constituency or a district like mine, which is a remote district, it cannot be same when it comes to sanitation issue. And then most of the communities themselves, they do their own you know, it is maybe the major towns, but the communities, every community,
But I
they
must
do their own cleaning.
admit one thing that is troubling across the country.
Yeah.
Plastic waste.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm disappointed that some very rural places even have more plastic waste than you can imagine. And I'm personally not a fan of plastic in terms of how we manage it in this part of our world. In many jurisdictions, you even pay extra to get a rubber bag. And I always say that it is only in Ghana that you buy toothpaste and you want rubber bag for toothpaste.
I'll tell you
You
one.
know, and we need to change that culture.
Very well.
You see,
very well.
growing up in the village.
That was why you end on
Yeah,
this one.
yes.
Yeah.
Growing up in my own village, when there was a funeral and they are making food for the funeral, you hardly see people using the takeaway bags. They use normal bowls, which means that it can be reused. But now, any funeral in any community, any village you go, when they are preparing food, everybody is using a plastic takeaway. They will serve. So when you go, you are served. Then that is how come you see people littering the plastic waste. So for me, in fact, our own tozafi that we eat, one of the days, those days, they will prepare tozafi, the whole family will come, maybe 5-6 people with one bowl. Now, it's even, they use rubber. They take away rubber, they'll put tozafi. So for me, when you say, no, this is not what I ate when I was young. So this is the different tozafi. I will not eat from this rubber tozafi. You put tozafi in the rubber, you tie it. And that is what is happening. And so you go to a community, a small gathering. After the gathering, you see the whole place littered with plastic rubbers. And so
we have
I
to
think
change
government
that.
has to do something.
And this,
President
the health
Mahama-
implications
President
there.
Mahama
The
has
health.
he says he's banning that
Yeah,
one.
he's proposing a ban on
And let me
styrofoam.
tell you the dangerous. As part of the farming that we do, we don't only do crop farming, we do animal rearing as well. And you know we do free range rearing. And so when some of the animals like goats, some of these plastic rubbers, especially that they put a food item probably that contains little salt, because of the content of the salt on it, then the goat goes to take it. They chew it, and you know how difficult for a plastic or a rubber to digest. Then 3 days, you will see the particular animal dead. And so it's really affecting the not only the sanitation, but
livestock.
livestock, the economic, well-being of our people. And so it is time government must do something. And I'm happy that His Excellency the President actually, I think some 2 weeks ago, said something about it. That will go a long way to help us.
The proposed ban on styrofoam.
Yes, sure, it will help us.
Yeah, in a minute.
Yeah, see, I'm shocked that this meeting by the district
Yes,
the
MMDCs.
MMDC, listen, it should be investigated.
No, this might have been scheduled for
That's what I'm saying.
their usual
No,
training.
he's
No,
not
that's
the
it.
one meeting them. They are coming for a training. And so
Okay.
what Manasseh said, they are in for training.
Yeah.
And Manasseh is alleging that Zoomlion met the leadership
Yesterday. And today
Right.
he's meeting.
No,
So
today they are going for their training.
they are going for their
But
training.
Manasseh
They-
is suggesting
the
that he met the
MMDCs are
leadership
in for
yesterday.
a leadership training.
Yeah.
That one
Not
there
organized by
is
Zoomlion.
is lobbying.
Uh-huh.
Is accepted.
Yeah.
Okay. But then, I mean, those who met him,
It's lobbying. Is accepted.
lobbying is accepted.
Yes.
But you can't be doing this.
No,
Well,
mind you.
are they going to do this, more like in defiance of the president's directive?
That's not what.
no.
But, so
Mind
for
you-
me, if you also have a sanitation company,
Yeah, you can
and
also go and meet them
now
and
somebody
lobby.
will say opportunity has presented
Yeah.
itself. And
So
you
let's
have
all go
intentional. Let me also go and probably if you have some equipment you want to go and exhibit,
Very well.
you can go
Very
and
well.
tell them
Very
these
well.
are what I have, and I think that I'm the better
Thank you.
person to manage your
Thank you,
sanitation.
Honorable.
for you.
Let me take a break here. When we come back, we'll go into the matter of the vetting of the justices appointed to the Supreme Court. Stay with us. This is News Review segment on Breakfast Daily. We'll be right back. Grateful that you stayed on with us. This is Breakfast Daily here on ChannelOne Television. We're having the News Review segment. Well, moving into the courts. and, of course, to Parliament, because the Appointments Committee sat yesterday. They began the vetting of the President's nominees to the Supreme Court. 3 of them, I believe, appeared before the committee. I'll start with Honorable Sukwaru, because we saw you on TV sitting there. You've explained to us that your subject matter due to your position on the Judicial Committee. So, I mean, we'll start. Justice Jamafe was first to appear before the committee. Your impressions, your takeaways from that. He spoke heavily on asset declaration, and he said that if judges are appointees of the government, then they must also declare their assets.
Yes, so I wouldn't want to speak much. Like Riley said, I'm part of the committee that is currently vetting the justices, and after the whole process, a decision will be taken on them. So if I speak much, maybe be in contempt with the committees, as I am not part of the leadership of the committee, and as a committee we've not taken a decision. Of course, yes, but with the issue of about the asset declaration, you saw how he answered the question, and I think I agree with him that justices that are appointed or nominated by the president, just like any other appointee of the president, must declare their asset, because where they are currently going to, it is a public office that they're going to occupy, and so the law requires that every public office holder must declare your asset. And so if we say that we're fighting corruption, corruption is not only we cannot only fight corruption at only judiciary, executive, so we must extend it to all arms of government, including members of parliament. That is how come all members of parliament on the 8th parliament, my colleague, he was a member, can testify to the fact that all of us, we declare our asset. As I sit here, I have declared my asset as a member of parliament. And so if members of judiciary are asked to declare their asset, I think it is in the right direction, because we are all public office holders. And so just so we are able to, to fight the corruption. But to speak to the entire process. I am being minded or being guided.
You wouldn't even comment on the conduct of members?
The conduct, of course, yesterday, as it was largely peaceful, that every member of the committee exhibited. There was nothing much you could say, because the nominees are all competent people. Many of them are even overqualified. He, for instance, Justice Senyo Zemefi, he's been in appeal court for several years, and he's, in terms of his experience when it comes to the court system in Ghana, cannot be questioned. And so he's qualified, and for me, he's even overqualified. And the second person,
Dennis Ajay.
Yes, said Dennis Ajay. You saw how he also answered the question. Like I said, you cannot say anything negative about especially the 3 that were vetted yesterday, and many social media commentators were, applauding their competency. You saw even Manasseh once again wrote that this is the best, Supreme Court judges nominee ever nominated by a president. And so for the decision of the committee, like I don't want to, if I were not a member of the committee, of course, I can have my say. But once I'm part of the committee, and the committee, we haven't taken a decision. If I do, or if I see anything, I probably will be prejudicing the process, which I don't want to. Thank you.
Honorable Kisi.
Yes. Well, I must say that the duration is short for the justices.
The duration of the vetting?
Yes.
Compared to the U.S.
Yes. And I am hoping that in the future, the vetting will be based on content or decisions that some of these justices have taken in the past, so that we can appreciate how they lean and how they arrive at some of their decisions. And I think that overall, the mood of the vetting committee is reasonable, and without a doubt, I also like the fact that the chairman stopped one of the justices from discussing how he'll decide about some of the future cases.
Right.
You know, and I think that you sometimes it comes up. Everybody is very interested in how you decide in the future, especially with regards to some of the very high-profile cases. So it was nice to see the chairman, as it is, tell them to not, as it is, answer how they'll decide when they sit on the bench. That's a Kwekwanansi story where Kwekwanansi will beat you for driving a car that he hasn't even bought. So I think that was nice. But overall, the mood in the vetting committee very apt, and I think many viewers were also happy to follow the discussions and to have a feel of these justices who may be deciding on the fate of many issues moving forward. I also commend the minority for showing up. I think I saw the likes of Afenyomak and Patrick Yabuama, Jerry Ahmed, and a few, you know, who added to the questioning, and I'm happy that overall Ghana will succeed in having, you know, these justices go through some rigor of you know, opinion testing, and to see how their temperaments are and how they carry themselves in the public domain. So it's good. Many students of law are also watching, and I think that what is very important now is that every person in this country, no matter what you're doing, you should do it as a patriotic person. And I must admit, some of the justices had political leanings that you would not have thought that the NDC, quote unquote, administration would bring them on board. And I believe that if you are very nationalistic in your thinking and your work, eventually it would sell you more than anything. And you know, they've worked many years, and they deserve, I think, the role that they are being given. I only pray that they when they are done, their work should be without coloration.
Right.
You know, the justices must then now tell Mr. President that thank you for nominating us, but we stand to work for the country. Our oath is not an allegiance to the NDC party, but our oath is an allegiance to the country. Even now, some say that some of the NADO's nominees have betrayed him. I rather see it as not a betrayal, but you know, they are exercising their duty
professionally,
without favor to the person that nominated them.
Right.
And if you really understand democracy, you need to appreciate it when a nominee of a certain president goes against the president. Donald Trump is facing that with some of his judges. Judges that he appointed are disappointing him. And I must say that this is what strengthens democracy. And if you've appointed me to do a job for the nation, it doesn't mean that you own me. You get my whole point. And I'm hoping to see that firebrand in these justices so that they meter out justice to even our own current government, if need be. And should not be wobbly, should be firm-handed in their decision. And, you know, also give us, the public, a perception of true justice and probity and accountability, so that we don't have situations where we question the decision of the Supreme Court in view of the happenings in the country. So I'm happy today we'll watch the round 2 of this, and I'm hoping that they can end today. It's a very painful experience to go through vetting, bring your family and people to support, talk for long hours, and sometimes they'll hit you with something you don't even expect to be hit with.
Why were you appointed during your era?
No.
Oh, okay.
But you have the experience. You'd have wished I got an
Oh, I would
appointment.
have. I thought like you were
Yeah.
appointed and
Oh.
you brought your
Very,
family.
very.
You were
Let me
not.
count.
I would have
Yeah.
wished.
I think it was quite educated.
Yeah.
And I think it was beautiful because most of the members of the committee actually have legal backgrounds.
Yeah.
So it was quite
And they-
informative.
Yeah. And they might have been students of
Exactly.
Some of the judges.
some of the judges.
Yeah.
See, there's no doubt that these are one of the brilliant,
Season.
or seasoned jurists we
Yeah.
have. Okay, some of them as they came started from the tribunal
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
The Boondocks.
You get it. Risen to the district judges. From there on, went to become high court judges at the regional level.
Yeah.
And then before making it to Court of Appeal, okay, where they have excelled. Now, so there's been a natural rise to wherever it is.
Yeah.
As to why they were kept at this level for all this while, when others will be plucked from nowhere.
God's time is the best.
I like that.
God's time, eh? But man can frustrate God's time.
That's Ghana for you.
Okay, so man had frustrated their progression.
There was a human intervention.
You get it? I mean, see, said Dennis AJ. I mean, when I was
The law.
yes, I was at Gimpa. I used to see him around, and his interaction with students. You'll be shocked that people, that is Dennis AJ.
Almighty.
Almighty,
Yeah.
and he's so down to earth,
Right.
and I know what I'm talking about. So he's taught students of law,
Yeah.
and some of them I'm sure are judges today and so on.
Yeah.
See how people were describing him, that his appearance was very educative. He broke down everything to the appreciation of a lot of people, and whatever he's doing at the ECOWAS level, whatever he's doing at the international level, and so on. If a character like that can't make it to our Supreme Court, then who will? Okay? Justice Jamefe, I mean, I've sat on this table and said that I started reading about some of his, decisions when I was in secondary school.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And at the time, I think he was in Ho or one of the other areas and so on. And then the
Sobari.
exactly.
Yeah.
He also talked about how he started his national service, even from the tribunal system,
Right.
and all the way till that side was faded out,
Yeah.
and then officed out, and then he became district, I think, judge
Yeah.
or so, and then eventually became a high court judge, and to wherever it is today.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that all that experience they have acquired, they can only put it on the bench for how many years? Sometimes 2 years,
Yeah.
others 3, others 4, or something. But I hope that the period will give them whatever it is.
You
So
think
that-
we should have younger Supreme Court judges?
No, I thought that they should have spent like 10 years on the bench, where they can enrich our jurisprudence. You get what I'm saying? But what we have now, they are barely going to spend, some of them barely a year.
You don't
Also-
know.
Is that?
You don't know.
Oh, I mean, it's obvious.
I think Jamefe spoke on that.
Number of cases.
John
Jamefe
spoke.
spoke on that and said that, well, they should retire when it's time to retire.
Yeah.
But then can be consulted later.
Yeah,
It's
well,
also not just the number of years on the bench.
Exactly.
It's the kind of
The
cases
quantum
that,
of cases
exactly.
that
yeah.
you get.
Exactly. But you see, I mean, as a judge, your essence is only on the cases presented before you and what you make out of it. so that we all were witnesses to the unanimous FC. Okay, where suddenly all judges, were thinking alike. 7 people were thinking alike. Even
7-0.
Yeah, 7-0, 7-0. Even twins have opinions of their own.
Yeah,
do you understand?
I mean,
but
we
suddenly,
can come to the same conclusion, but use the different routes.
No, I'm saying that unanimous thing didn't enrich our jurisprudence. That's what I'm saying. Okay,
But
your opinion, my opinion, his opinion. I mean, is that?
It's not like it's out of the blue.
Oh, it's not out of the blue. But I mean, the fact that you are even writing your judgment will give a student, let's say your son or your grandson, the opportunity to say that on this day there was this particular case. And, Justice Tufo ruled this way. Justice Kisi said this. Justice Tuperu said that. Do you understand?
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, this is his argument.
Yeah.
But today we've all agreed on Zoomlion.
Oh, yes. Yeah, but we came from different points, to arrive at wherever it is. But I'm saying that at the end of the day, we had our own opinion, different approach. You are going to, where, let's say Kumasi, you want to go by air.
This reminds me of, forgive me for sharing this joke, about they say a murderer writes his police statement and the guy who's not educated copies the murderer's he was caught for stealing.
Caught for stealing.
And he ends up copying the one for murder's statement. And he gets to court and the judge is wondering what he's doing there. And he's saying, oh, I was caught for stealing. But the thing that you have written is for murder.
Admission of murder.
Charlie.
So we should be able to, let's allow the judges to progress career-wise. Let's have a means of testing whatever their performances. Okay, and not allow the politics to decide. As you said, man frustrating the progress of work. Career, you've committed everything. You've spent your years here, done all that is needed for you. But somebody sits somewhere and says that, hey, you won't progress. Your situation, isn't it?
Like you didn't just do that.
So people frustrate you.
Right.
You go and pluck somebody from nowhere, because it's your relative, because it's he's waving a political flag, and that for you is the essence for which you should be on the bench. For me, if, like you said, if you are developing a democracy,
you shouldn't be so
to test it, to live up to whatever, to match other countries. This approach is not the best. These guys have done enough. They should have been here 10 years ago, and Ghana would have been better off.
How much time do we have now?
Is that?
We have about 15 more to go.
Oh, okay.
So let's do Iran, Israel, and then its implications on us.
He's an American. He's an American. Be mindful of that.
No, I this one, with the greatest of respect. One, finally, I must admit that I'm happy that the Mahama administration put off the fuel levy. I mean, they must thank their God.
I see where you're going.
They must thank their God for this, delay. And I'm also happy that what the minority was saying makes sense now. That the one Ghana sees was extreme, and that when fuel prices should change upward, it'll be very troubling for Ghanaians. So I'm hoping that the majority or the government will make sense of reducing the levy or scrapping it entirely. But for lack of the kind of funding government has, this shows us that when you plan or you make your forecast, anything can happen.
Exactly.
And this just happens to have happened within a week, when government was looking at very positive downward trend of oil prices. Only to be surprised by Israel's actions. And mind you, this should be a guide in the energy sector management, so that we are careful in putting out any levies for us. So I think that this one is not in hindsight, but this one is in future sight.
Future sight.
The NDC administration has got an inclination that fuel prices worldwide
Yeah.
is being affected now, and for that reason, they should shelf. They should shelf the one Ghana cedi for your pocket or one Ghana cedi fuel levy. And with the greatest of respect, I'm happy to see that the NDC now really appreciates global actions and its impact on our local economy. It didn't used to be the case.
Russia, Ukraine.
When we talk about COVID, NDC said no.
I saw
when we
this
talk
coming.
about Russia, Ukraine, NDC said no. Now
They have
Iran,
Israel.
who caused them? So in choosing the NDC's words, Iran, Israel, they are not in Ghana, and in choosing your own words,
now who caused them?
it shouldn't be affecting Atu forcing at all.
Because Atu is forcing.
So I'm waiting to see, and I'm hoping not to say, hey, Atu, do you agree that Israeli actions in Iran is affecting your budget?
Very well.
As of now, I think they'll admit.
So
will you admit?
We admit.
So you see, these are two different scenarios.
Is it?
Yes, these are two different scenarios.
Very well.
Iran, Israel war is different from Russia-Ukraine war.
How so?
And the impact
When
is
you look
different.
at Iran, about 90% of their export of oil out of Iran is from a particular town called, is it Cad or yes. And we are not saying that it is going to affect our economy. What currently we are saying is that we are not going to implement the one city levy
Because
we are monitoring. We are monitoring the situation. Don't forget, when this particular levy was brought just 2 weeks ago, one of the things we said was that we are able to reduce fuel prices from 16 cedis per liter.
you inherited 14.
Yeah, we inherited 16.
14.
We inherited 16.
14.
We inherited 16. I'm coming.
Very well, very well.
To 12 cities. And so if you were even, let's assume that you were even paying 14, and we brought it down to 12. And we are asking you to pay additional one cities to make it 13. It's still better than where we took it from. And again, we said that we don't want this levy to be kind of an how do you call it? Hardship being
A burden on
the ordinary person.
But did you anticipate fuel prices ever going up?
No, what we are saying is that you just saw, I think, was it yesterday? Comac, I read a release by Comac.
Chamber of Oil Marketing Company.
Yes, exactly. Suggested that yesterday, 16th of June, the fuel prices were going to, as it come down or reduce?
Pricing, yeah, I think it's the third pricing window of June.
Yes. And government only halted this particular implementation just simply because the president, because he's a sensitive president, he listens to the ordinary people of this country. He says that please don't implement it now. Monitor the Iran-Israel war to see whether the fight would have an impact, negative impact on the oil sector
Which has already
internationally.
begun.
Which
has already begun.
It has already
The price
begun.
per barrel is now going up by
Exactly,
7%.
because Iran is not exporting. And that is what a listening government should do.
Right.
It is not. When you compare Russia, Ukraine
can
war,
hear from Larry before
that
we go.
is totally different.
So all I want to
Even
know that-
okay, granted.
Will it impact
No, of
prices?
course it will
Okay,
impact.
that's all,
But
that's all.
yes, but in your time,
In our time,
let
we
it
did
be
it.
known, let it be on records
In
that
NPP
please,
time,
I'm
we
coming.
did
Very
No,
well. Honorable
even granted in your time, even at the time there was Russia-Ukraine war, you were busily implementing taxes and levies, e-levy. You and I were in parliament. When Russia-Ukraine war happened, instead of you to, because of the hardship it was bringing on the people, instead of you to be finding ways and means to lessen the burden, you were rather compounding, like in fact, adding more taxes. COVID, when COVID came, what did you do? COVID came.
There was a grace period.
I'm coming. COVID
Tax
came.
exemption.
COVID came.
Yeah, there
Person
was a
couldn't
tax
go
holiday.
out.
Yeah.
Person
There-
couldn't
there
go
was a
out to
tax
go to
holiday.
their workplaces. Production
Water
was
was
not
free.
happening.
That's not
We
true.
should.
People were later
You
paid
what did you do?
No, water was free.
Well, I need
We
to land
implemented.
so I can
We
hear
didn't
from Larry.
introduce additional tax by COVID.
no.
You didn't do that.
Very well, very well.
So that is the difference. That's what I'm
Larry,
telling you.
let me hear
And
from you.
in all of
taxes
these
were
things,
put on
Honorable
hold.
Supervisor,
the
thank you,
NDC
thank
government.
you.
Taxes
Honorable
were
C.
put on hold.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Larry,
but-
unfortunately, you are just about a
But,
minute.
yeah.
But after
Yeah, no
we
problem.
introduced
You see, we should see the
Honorable
bigger,
Supervisor, thank you.
we should see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
That a lot of the time, I mean, some of these things happen out there, and you think it's so far away from
Yeah.
you,
But
but
the
it's not.
impact.
Yeah, but the impact it's felt here. As to whether or not Russia, Ukraine, and all
Or
that,
COVID-19.
or COVID-19, we are still paying the COVID levies and all that.
Yes.
Russia
Yes.
and Ukraine, they are still fighting.
Yeah.
Yes.
You get it?
And the economy is stronger than us.
Okay, sure. But I mean,
economy currently
yes.
stronger than we took it
I mean,
for.
the government is talking. The government is talking about evacuation. I think that the assurance is
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
We can live with it. But I mean, it's in the implementation. Let's
Yeah.
see what they are able to pull out of that. However, I mean, you want to comment President Mahama that, or the government that hey, they saw through that and said that okay, the price is going up.
Yeah.
Must we implement this? Okay, and then such that if it goes up, it means that there will be more something
Exactly.
more
We
to
pay
be
more
added
for
on.
fuel.
We have
Yeah.
to pay. So pull it back or put it on hold, and then wait to see whatever happens. But I mean, more importantly, I think that the African Union and all these regional bodies we have should be quick to be, they know the effects of these things, such attacks or strives on the people.
On the people. Yeah.
Okay, and should be very, very, very vocal out there. Okay, you can't just assume that hey, everything is because your ordinary people are going to feel
Bear
it.
the brunt.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I haven't heard the African Union yet, but I've heard the government of Ghana, said something.
They'll
I haven't
speak
heard ECOWAS yet. I haven't
We'll
heard,
speak later. Thank you,
yeah,
Larry.
yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Kisi. Thank you, Honorable Suparu. This has been the news review segment here on Breakfast Daily. I am Nanatu Boateng. Stay with us. Breakfast Daily continues after this.